chaos of Super Bowl week is officially underway. So for the first time since the 2020 season, opening night, formerly known as Media Night, was back. Players and coaches from the Chiefs and Eagles letting loose and enjoying themselves.
Yeah, guys were cracking smiles. There you go. There's Jalen Hurts. They were ragging on each other a little bit, answering the hard-hitting questions, Jesse, like, is this a must-win game? I mean, we are talking Big J journalism here, folks. It is really good to have you here once again. Welcome to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings. We're coming to you live from Super Bowl 57 Radio Row. Alongside Jesse Cofield, I am Emerson Latzia.
Yeah, we got Patriots Insider for NBC Sports, Tom Curran, joining the program because apparently Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are best friends now. They were getting emotional on Brady's podcast. But first, let's talk about opening night.
Yeah, what'd you think last night? Because that was our first time there.
It was our first time there. I thought it was an amazing event.
Yeah.
The energy level was very high.
Through the roof, people dancing, having fun.
Yep.
Eating a boatload of food, which we are fans of, and just asking a lot question.
A lot of questions. Like, as you mentioned earlier, Big J journalism, is this a must-win game, which was just hysterical.
Yeah, so like a couple takeaways for me in listening to all the sound bites that like Billy and Samir and Jay and Howard were out there collecting for us last night on that crazy floor. The Chiefs are not over that Super Bowl loss from a couple years ago. Like, it still stings. A lot of them obviously asked questions about it, but they went hard in on their answers. That Super Bowl loss to Tom Brady and the Bucs a few years ago. And then, like, walking around a little bit afterwards, Juju Smith-Schuster was asked what he'd like to do in his free time, and he's like, yeah, I like to hang out with my dogs. And I'm like, hell yeah, brother. Let's go.
One of us. Yeah, I love that. A.J. Brown said the Eagles didn't bring the Batman cape to the Super Bowl, so that's interesting.
Yeah, the Eagles really seemed like super laser focused. Not that the Chiefs didn't, but it didn't seem like many of the Eagles players were as loose, I guess, as Chiefs players. Now, a lot of the Chiefs players have also been here like a few more times.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he also said that they didn't have like time for planning celebrations. A big reason they didn't bring that Batman cape with them. There was a dude in a barrel walking
apparently
around.
He comes every year. I don't know.
Yeah, and I was with Billy at the time. Billy's like, what are you wearing under that barrel? And he's like, nothing, dude.
Oh, geez.
Also, another dude dressed as Lucha Libre.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see more of them later, because we did speak with them. We are going to take a quick break here, though.
Okay.
All right, because we're going to prep to welcome a very special guest to the show, and there will be fireworks because this was the first time, a few moments ago, offset. We met for the first time in person.
Emotional.
So now we're all going to be on camera together, and Sparks were also flying yesterday at opening night, as we mentioned.
Yep.
Eagles, Chiefs, chopping it up and answering those hard-hitting questions like we talked about.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Emerson Latzia here. We're at opening night. So this is night one of Super Bowl week. It is madness. There are people from all over the world here trying to catch up with guys like Andy Reid and every other player that you could possibly think of. Listen, the mood is tense. I have been on some serious reports before, but nothing quite like this. And I'm told, sources tell me, that it is a must-win game for both the Eagles and the Chiefs. Let's hear what some of these guys have to say.
Is this a must-win game?
I would consider it a must-win game for sure.
I love to see you, my guy. You look amazing.
Muy bien. My Spanish teachers are all cringing at how bad I'm doing right now.
AJ, are you always open?
I like to think so. Yeah, I don't watch people eat too much, you know what I'm saying? People got some nasty taste.
I'll take a schnitzel or a bratwurst. I'm good with either.
That's disgusting.
Barbecue or cheesesteak? Which one would you go with?
Barbecue is like a cookout, right?
Yeah, or like barbecue brisket.
Oh, man. That's what I said, man.
It's hard. It's not hard.
I'm sorry, I gotta get rid of the cheese thing.
Didn't play quarterback. What position would you play and why? I would probably play tight end, and I'd definitely be better than Travis.
I'm pretty good at the gritty. I'm still learning a little Uzi, so I'm gonna go with the gritty right now.
Listen, my brother hit it. I don't know if you saw my brother get in there.
That's how you know it's a real deal. It's an actual dance. When my brother can do it, that's how you know it's an actual dance.
Nobody will be honest with you. They're all saying that they're rooting for both of you, but you know deep down they're rooting for one of us.
Who the most famous? Oh, my wife. She's famous. She's famous.
You trying to get me in trouble with talking about some actress. I got a girlfriend, man. Chill out.
I'm soaking it all in. It's almost getting emotional because I'm so happy to be here, and it's a blessing. But, you know, like I said before, the job is not done, and I'm going to continue to say it. Until the foot hit the ball, we're going to let the pad do the talking.
Wow. This is
a dream
history. This is a dream come true. We have talked to this man for years and years and years. He lives north of the border in the great white north, and it just so happens that our paths are finally crossing in person. Jeff Ulrich, one of our NFL analysts at DraftKings. We're going to talk some golf with you coming up, waste management. Jeff, was this as emotional for you as it was for us? I was brought to tears when I met you for the first time in person 10 minutes ago. Like, you look great, Jeff.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. And yeah, this has been quite an experience so far, man. I mean, 5+ years of working in my closet / office and talking to you guys through the vibes of the internet. I mean, it's a little bit different in person. I'm not going to lie. This is, I dare say it's a dream come true for me.
Yeah, it is for us as well.
And it's a legit, setup, too. This stage, it's dope, dude. Sal Palantonio was just, floating around. Howard was telling me he overheard Sal Palantonio, praising our stage. I mean,
it looks amazing. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When we first said we were going to come out here, I was expecting, like
one of the tables.
Like a bench.
Look at the peasants behind us.
Yeah, no. We got, this is Big J journalism, like we said. All right. We are going to talk golf with you, but that's going to be later.
Okay.
We're going to talk Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, what's the main storyline that you're looking at headed into this game between, the Eagles and the Chiefs? What are you really focusing on?
I mean, I think this is a really interesting matchup. I mean, you have the Eagles in terms of just what they've done this year. I think they're a little bit underrated. A team with, obviously, they had an easy schedule, and it's been an easy talking point for a lot of the people this year. But when you look at them, first in defensive pass DVOA. I mean, first in terms of rush offensive DVOA. I mean, they're an elite team in different phases of the ball. But then you have on the other side Patrick Mahomes, who is, in terms of a lot of the advanced quarterback stats, he's just head and shoulders. So you've kind of got two elite units on either side. And for me, that's what I want to see play out. I want to see, can the Chiefs actually overcome a really, really stout Philly defense? And are the Eagles for real? Can they do this in the big game? So I think it's actually, when you look at it from a stat perspective, it's probably one of the most intriguing matchups we could get.
I mean, who the hell is still doubting them? You mentioned they're underrated. They're the number one seed in the NFC here, and they're 1.5-point favorites in the Super Bowl.
And I think that speaks in part to, we just need something to talk about. But at the same time, you're right. I mean, the Eagles came in, people doubted them early in the season. Oh, are they going to be able to beat the Vikings on the road? Yeah. They didn't just beat the Vikings, they smashed them. You know, during the playoffs, people were talking about, is Daniel Jones all of a sudden a better option long-term than Jalen Hurts? And it's no, actually it's not, right? So I think the Eagles have proven us numerous times that they're a very elite team. And I feel like right now they're still being underrated, because I think that if I was, looking at this line, I would expect the Eagles potentially to be, over that key number of 3 personally. So I still think they're being underrated. At the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a walk in the park or something. You have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on the other side, capable of overcoming the toughest defenses. So, but I agree. The Eagles, to me, just still not getting enough respect.
All right, so on to the total. Slowly moving up over time here. So now it's at 51. Now there are 2 schools of thought here. All right, we have 2 elite offenses, so we're going to see fireworks. Or, like you mentioned, we have 2 elite pass rushing teams, so the under makes more sense. And keep in mind, the under has hit in the last 4 Super Bowls.
We want points, man.
We want points, but are we? We want points, but are we going to see them?
We all want points. We all want to bet the over. But I mean, I would have to lean on the side of the under. I think there's too many scenarios. First of all, like you said, we're getting a rising point total. I mean, we're at 51 now. The time to buy in this was probably at the opening when it was 49, 49.5, 50 even. But at 51 here, you've got, an Eagles team that if they get up, they're going to run the ball. And, the one thing about the Chiefs as well, what we've seen from them, they really haven't performed that well against elite rush offenses, and they haven't played that many elite rush offenses either. So if the Eagles get up here, I just feel like there's too many scenarios where there's just not that many opportunities for Patrick Mahomes in the second half. And I would also look, like if you're looking at totals this week, I'd really look at the Chiefs under team total, 24.5. I actually like that as a total play more than just playing the regular total.
Yeah, so real quick, going back to the spread, like which way were you leaning on that one? Because we've seen the way that Philadelphia has played its 2 postseason games here.
Absolutely. I mean, I've from the start of the week, I said, Eagles, you can wait, but now that we're down to 1.5.
Yeah, it's 1.5 currently.
You can just take the Eagles. I mean, that's been my side all week. I haven't strayed from it. We're still under that key number, and a lot of people say the fluctuation isn't going to matter if you're staying under 3. But to me, the Eagles are just underrated, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like I think that's the side for me. You look where the money's coming in. A lot of the bets are coming in on the Eagles, like over 70%. But like to me, we had that situation last week with the 49ers, and like they're just an elite team. So I think that they're still being underrated, and that's definitely where I'd be looking out for the spread and stuff like that.
All right, well, one of the best parts of the Super Bowl, obviously, all the props you can get on the DK Sportsbook. So we thought we'd take a look at some of the props under the Super Bowl special banner. So let's start with any player to have a 55-plus yard reception. That's at plus 250. Do you like this one? We've been talking a lot about these elite defenses.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, if it's going to come, it's probably going to come on the Eagles side. I mean, obviously, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they have some speed over there. We don't know the exact statuses of like Kadarius Toney and other guys, but to me, it would come on the Eagles. Plus 250 to me, I would take a shot with that. I think that's okay. I think there's some scenarios where guys like Kenneth Gainwell in potentially late game scenario gets free for a screen as well. And obviously, we have Kadarius Toney and Kadarius Toney. We have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on the Eagles as well, who the team that I'm trying to talk about
and that's
here.
A young secondary too for the Chiefs.
It is, absolutely. It's a good point. I mean, like, Ladarius Sneed, their slot corner as well, questionable, had a concussion, so they could be down a player as well. He just hasn't practiced if he is going to play. So I think there's a lot of potential for Smith or A.J. Brown to get loose for that as well.
All right, how much does special teams come into play in this one? Because you could get any player to return a punt or kickoff for a touchdown, plus 1,400 right now.
Ooh.
Talking special teams under the specials tab for the Super Bowl on DK Sportsbook.
It's a special, all right. Look, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and predict and have some inside information on the special teams. I mean, it could happen. Philly's got some good special teams players as well. But if I was looking at those odds, plus 1,400, I'd probably be more apt to take a shot with like the first touchdown market. I mean, you can get really nice odds on like secondary tight ends like Noah Gray, maybe Gainwell, someone like that. So if you're looking for those kind of odds specifically, you want something just to have a little, sprinkle a little bit of money on, you get a big payout, go to the first touchdown. I mean, it's way more likely that you're going to land on the guy than predicting a special teams touchdown. Those can happen, but they're very random. And like I said, at the very least, with the first touchdown market, you can pick your player. You can look who's getting better usage. In my opinion, that's where you should go.
Okay. So is there someone you like in that market right now?
I mean, look, it's my first time on set. Of course, we're going to talk about backup tight ends.
Oh, my God. Now we're just missing Pierce Dietrich right now.
Well, and let's give Pierce Dietrich a shout-out, because he did bring up Jody Fortson for the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's basically the third tight end, but I think there's some legitimacy if you're looking for
plus 6,000 for first tight end score.
Hey, but look how much bigger that is than the plus 1,400 for the kick returner, right? So again, you're investing less. Fortson, around the end zone, the Chiefs like to use the tight ends. I mean, it could happen. It legitimately could. Noah Gray is out there as well, who's been, legitimately played over 65% of the snaps in the last game. I think he's someone who could easily show up in the red zone for them. So Noah Gray to me, also a nice one for the Chiefs. And for the Eagles, I might go a little more chalky. I might look at Miles Sanders there.
Noah Gray plus 4,500 for first touchdown score. Could also get him as last touchdown score at plus 4,000.
Okay, maybe not. All right, try this one on for size. Any player to score 3+ rushing/receiving touchdowns. Are you feeling that one? It's plus 450.
What?
Who's our most likely option?
Okay, let's break it down like this. If you're going to do that, I think there's the most likely option to me, Hurts.
Yes.
But Miles Sanders as well. Miles Sanders scored 2 touchdowns or more in 3 games this year. I mean, like, again, if we're playing for an Eagles kind of rushing attack to kind of take over this game and potentially just take advantage of, like I said, a weaker Chiefs rush defense, I think Sanders in a spot in this game where he could really break out. So, again, if it's just a straight up bet, I think Hurts gives you some options there, Sanders as well. But plus 450, it's not bad. I mean, again, we got a lot to choose from. So I do think you're going to see one of the Eagles get multiple scores because their rushing attack, I feel like it's going to be Sanders or it's going to be Hurts. Yeah. Someone's going to get in on the ground twice. I really do think that's going to happen.
It's interesting, Jeff, like walking around opening night last night too, comparing the Eagles and the Chiefs players, I was like, man, the Eagles really have that like star power. They have the names that you know and recognize, and the Chiefs are kind of like these unsung heroes besides Kelsey and like Patrick Mahomes. So you just mentioned like all the talent there. A player to have more than 150 receiving yards or 150 like rushing yards. Again, I feel like it's at plus 350 on the DK Sportsbook. I feel like you'd have to look to the Eagles side for this, but could there be anyone you would consider on the Chiefs side?
Yeah, no, I look, if we're talking Chiefs players, I think Jerick McKinnon is another player who could definitely be pivotal for them. And like McKinnon's had a couple slow games, so people are obviously going to look at that and say, oh, well, it's Isaiah Pacheco time, he's not. But what we saw from the Chiefs actually when they played top-rated pass defense, like when they played the Broncos, that's when McKinnon really kind of had his best games, and he's definitely a vital part of the offense. Andy Reid loves veteran running backs that have that versatility as well. So I think McKinnon, to me, if the Chiefs especially make this more of a shootout, a high-scoring game, and really do keep it close, I think McKinnon is a player where he's going to go over a lot of his total. And he's potentially going to just have a big game. Whether we're talking fantasy, daily fantasy showdown, or betting, I really do think he's a player who's going to be key for the Chiefs.
That's a great transition because props are fun.
We call it a segue
props
in the business.
Are fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's also a big DFS contest, obviously. NFL
Huge.
Showdown, $6 million Super Bowl 57 millionaire contest, $1 million top prize. Who's your Super Bowl captain in this one, Jeff?
Okay, well, I mean, look, when we're breaking down Showdown, it's all about, how you think the game is going to go. Obviously, you hear me talking, I kind of like the Eagles side. I like the Eagles rushing attack to potentially just take over this game at some point. I think Miles Sanders is really the play here. And you're going to look back at Miles Sanders and his recent game logs and usage, and you say, okay, well, they're bringing in Gainwell. He's not going to get me there. But they have to worry about load management here. It's the Super Bowl. They're not going to limit his touches. This game would have to get really out of hand for Miles Sanders to suddenly just get taken off in the fourth quarter. So, again, Eagles, top-rated rush defense, or rush offense, Chiefs, to me, this is the biggest mismatch on the board, where the Chiefs really come in as a below-average or just average rush defense. I think Miles Sanders can take advantage of that. I think he's got a lot of upside. I really like him for a captain. Also just saves you a lot of money from a lineup-building perspective to put him in the captain.
Yeah, so he scored multiple rushing touchdowns here 3 times this season. Could be in for a huge second half, definitely in that game if it ends up being close, which a couple of the people we've talked to here on this stage yesterday kind of predicted a close game to start, possibly one of the teams to break away in the second half. Value play here in DFS. What do you like?
Yeah, value play. I mean, look, we can go a couple different ways here. I mean, I think Kenneth Gainwell, playing Miles Sanders with Kenneth Gainwell is going to be really interesting because if you do get that Eagles blowout, I think there's a very real possibility both Eagles running backs put up enough points, put up enough just yards to make them both viable. And he's cheap, right? So if you really want that like kind of min-price play, I brought up Jody Fortson before, but Marcus Kemp as well. We have to watch. He's $200.
I was like, I'm gonna go to a touchdown score prop.
Is this?
Look, we have to watch the wide receiver news for Kansas City. Kadarius Toney, even Juju is obviously questionable. These guys are probably going to play, but Marcus Kemp played over 30% of the snaps last week. If he's active, and he is probably going to get snaps. There's risk of in-game injury with these guys too. What do you need a player to do at 200? You need him to catch like 120-yard pass to really pay off.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's going to save you a ton of money. You want to watch the news here and see how it breaks down. But if we get someone ruled out here quick, I really think that Kemp, who's been on the Chiefs, by the way, for like 5 years, he knows the system. He's going to get some touches. He's going to get some usage at the very least. And again, 200, we're not asking much. We just need a catch or two.
Yeah, and you're really just differentiating yourself, your lineup there, you know?
You're giving yourself so much flexibility.
Yeah.
Because you can start with Hurts, and if you put Kemp in your flex, you could still fit in Mahomes. You can still fit in pretty much stuff in anyone you want. So Kemp's got a lot of boom bust, you know, as we like to say, I guess. But you know, again, if this Chiefs wide receiver core starts to break down, if the game flow goes where Mahomes is throwing 40, 50 times, Kemp could show up in this game with like 3 or 4 catches. That is a possibility.
And you know what? If you're interested, he's plus 9,000 as the first touchdown scorer.
You just keep going up and up. You're just looking down. Is he like last on the list?
The numbers are going up and up because you're going down and down and down the board, buddy. That's
we can't just talk about Jalen Hurts all day. We got to give Marcus Kemp his due.
This is the stuff that we like. Jeff, you're giving us amazing insight, and you're going to continue to give us amazing insight on this show. You're going to stick around. We're going to talk golf with you coming up.
Dude.
There's a golf tournament going on. I don't know if people
baby.
know waste management.
It's like a bajillion people who show up to that thing.
Yeah, can't wait to talk about that with you. In the meantime, though, last night we had a really important question for people at media night. A lot of people didn't understand what we were asking, but we want to know.
It was fun.
Who's got that dog in him?
Oh.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
There. Excuse me. Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Do you know whose x-ray this is?
I do not.
Whose x-ray is this?
It's a dog.
Who is this? We got the Gojo guys here. You. Whose x-ray is this? Ladies, do you know whose x-ray this is? Who's got that dog in him? Does anybody know? Who's got that dog in him?
The Eagles D-line. London Fletcher, Brandon Graham.
Who's got that dog in him? Who's got that dog in him, bro?
Donna Kelsey.
She hasn't burnt her damn jersey yet. The split jersey. No, she's out of here, dude.
She can do whatever she wants. She runs this town.
Me.
This is you?
No.
You got that dog in you?
The whole team does. It's the mentality. The passion and determination.
No one out there has that dog in them on either team.
What about Lane Johnson?
Ndamukong Suh coming off the bench. What, is that fair to say?
The D lineman went with the D line.
I mean, you got to respect any lineman, right? You know, a right tackle, protecting, grinding.
Someone's got that dog in them on the Chiefs. You don't know who it is? Eagles or Chiefs fan?
I think the Eagles are going to win.
Yeah. You don't know who this is?
No, I don't know. Really, no. Why?
Are you cold in this thing?
Dude, man, it's not bad here at all.
Donna and Ed
Kelsey. No, I'm not talking about Taylor Swift.
I stopped listening. I was like, you talking about Taylor Swift?
This is all he's been talking about. All right, we'll see you later, Brandon. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, good job.
Tom Curran.
Welcome into the sweat.
The
This
sweat!
is unbelievable. This is like
The man, the myth, the legend. You're really committing to the bit. You know?
I did. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
I just did laps before I came over.
Wow.
I'm always
My
like,
God.
feel my hand. I'm perpetually nervous.
You're just like a
Dude,
little clammy, but
don't
it's still
be like
nice.
this. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous. We know each other.
Nervous.
We're
You're
golf
a pro.
buddies.
It's just like there's a
Lights are
lot of
bright.
stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
So like you have all your stuff, and like my brain is a gerbil, so I just said, "Is my ringer off?" Which it is not.
Well, it is great to have you here, Patriots Insider for NBC Sports here. Golf buddy of mine as well. But
Is he any good?
He is outstanding.
Absolute piss missiles. I roll a good meatball.
Why
I
do you
toss
gotta call
darts.
it that?
He's really good.
That's all we do.
I was stunned.
Hate to hear that. All
Yeah,
right.
a lot of people
I thought
are.
he'd be good, but he swings the club.
Thank you. People
All right.
people aren't watching to hear how great I am at this sport. People are watching because they know that you know everything inside and out about the Patriots. Before we dive into what went down on Tom Brady's podcast yesterday, you've covered this team forever. You've been through thick and thin throughout this dynasty with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Watching the Chiefs right now, what are the chances we are watching this next dynasty kind of come to fruition here?
I think it'll be a dynasty. I don't think it'll be a dynasty that approaches the Patriots. What they have to do is get multiples in a short span of time, and they have the opportunity to do that. Also, to continually go back to championship games and present as the best team in the league. So they have an opportunity to do that. They're on their way to doing it, but this week is important for them to seal a deal that they weren't able to against the Bucs a couple years ago. So to me, it's vital. You have to finish it.
Because like the Patriots started hot, right? And then they had like the long stretch where they didn't get a Super Bowl.
Didn't get a Super Bowl, but they were still in 2007.
Yes,
an undefeated team.
Yeah.
In 2010, they were 14-2 in the #1 seed. They went to another Super Bowl in 2011. So you're talking at that point, you're 10 years out from where Brady began. It's 2011. I mentioned this last week in a column about Brady. Okay, so say Patrick Mahomes wins 3 Super Bowls and a couple of MVPs and Super Bowl MVPs in his first 10 years in the league. Awesome.
Yeah.
You want to match Brady? Go do it again in the next decade.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing, which is bizarro.
So we'll probably never see anything like that again. Unless they somehow start winning more Super Bowls.
Right, and to do it in the same place is, to me, what's so difficult. And to do it with the same coach. Look at McVay. I mean, there's so many different philosophies. Do we go all in and trade all our picks? It's just hard. It's just virtually impossible, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned how important it is to win multiples in a short period of time, but Eagles are favored in this one by 1.5. Do you agree?
I do. I do, because they can take charge of the game with their running game.
Yeah.
You know, watching what they did to the Giants was, and really to Dallas. Was it Dallas they played as well? No.
What are you talking about?
The Eagles. Eagles running game. It was against the Giants, excuse me. They just absolutely dominated on the ground.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
when
they've had games where they've had hundreds and hundreds of yards like on the ground. That was against the 49ers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Game wasn't even competitive because, well, we had the injuries at quarterback, but I think it was the first playoff game, the divisional playoff game against the Giants.
Yeah.
It was breathtaking to see Sanders and Gainwell just on the ground dominating and how good they were up front. So, yeah, I absolutely believe that they can control the game, and it's a good line to me.
Well, that's why, like, I think some people are still questioning a little bit about, like, Jalen Hurts, because he hasn't been asked to do much because they've dominated the Giants. They've dominated the 49ers here. Do you like the idea of a non-quarterback winning MVP in this game? Like, what do you think it's going to take in order for a non-quarterback to win MVP?
Because there's been a lot of talk about these defenses, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Sack machines.
Like you see a guy like Hassan Reddick take over with 2 or 3 sacks and a forced fumble.
Yeah, it's not
and
gonna
it's
be
the nature of the game, too. It's like, how many yards, how many points are there?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you know, Edelman won the MVP in 2018 before halftime because he had 149 yards. He didn't do anything in the second half. Who wins the early portion of the game if you're trying to put something down on MVP?
Yep.
Who wins the early portion of the game? Who's good? And what actually ends up happening, I don't know if it's still this way, but I voted for MVP in the game before. You have to get your vote in before the end of the game.
Okay.
So,
by what time?
Early?
Just like before the
by
end,
like
or
5 minutes left.
By 5?
Because they need to count it, tabulate it, and present it. So I remember, like, for instance...
That's why James White didn't get MVP.
To a large extent.
Yeah.
In 2003, I'm sitting there and it's the Patriots are down against Carolina, and I said, well, all right, so it's Delhomme if they win, and it's Brady Brady if the Patriots win. So Brady ended up winning MVP, but you had to put the friggin' thing in incomplete.
Wow.
Good talk.
I mean,
that's interesting.
We just had a pregnant pause.
I mean, I was just thinking about how wild that is.
I know.
I was also
because obviously we've seen some massive plays in the final.
I mean that's
some game-altering plays.
Yeah, I was unaware of how early you guys had to get that in. I thought it was kind of like
5
they're setting
minutes and then can be obviously a lot longer.
Yeah, a lot happens in the final 5 minutes.
So
sometimes.
I mean, a lot happened on the Let's Go podcast yesterday with Brady and Belichick here, man. They seem to be on pretty good terms, Tom.
Pretty chummy.
Brady.
Was that the vibe you got?
Absolutely.
What'd you learn there? Because Brady was getting emotional, choked up, as Belichick was just showering him with tons of praise. And I think everyone's mindset, based on reports and everything, is apparently things got icy between the two towards the end of their tenure together in New England. So what did you learn yesterday listening to that?
That you can have irreconcilable differences that make it impossible for you to coexist as colleagues and still adore each other. Tom Brady was a conscious human in his parents' house from 4 until 18. So they had him for about 15 years. The only authority figure he had really after that for a length of time was Bill Belichick. For 20 years, he was his authority figure. And he was a 1950s dad the entire time. He never really told him he loved him. He never really told him how much he appreciated him or how proud he was of him during that period of time. So when Brady hears it, whether it be during that, top 100 players that the NFL Network did a few years ago when he and Brady are sitting next to each other, or yesterday, Brady gets extremely emotional because it was, I'm always trying to prove something to this guy, and he doesn't appreciate me. Like the notion that, hey, and Tom is kind of foisting this on us, that people made a lot of it, but we were always fine. Tom versus Time was a 5-part documentary explaining how unappreciated he felt. We can be adult enough to understand that the two things are true. That you can, look, you guys might not be able to work together at some point, but you'll always love each other very much.
Dude, that's why we're wearing matching shirts.
I can barely work with him now, but I do my best, you know.
That will
They're
happen.
not mutually exclusive, that's what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, it's totally true.
And I'm glad that it ends up that way. But we're adult enough to be able to accept the notion that, it was all actual. It was all factual. There was a point at which Tom Brady's insistence of, I want to finish my career in New England as a Patriot, and Bill Belichick's insistence that we're not going to give you a contract that allows you to do that, by fiat, made Brady feel unappreciated to the point where he said, okay, I'm going to go someplace else. And Bill's like, okay.
Wait.
All right, see you out there.
Yeah, I got a quick follow-up to that. So I think you reported on this the other day. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what are the chances then he signs a one-day contract, retires a Patriot?
Yes, and I opined on it. I didn't report on it.
Okay.
My feeling is he'll happily come back for every Patriots Hall of Fame honoree.
Yeah.
In the stadium, whatever. But the notion of putting pen to paper for a symbolic contract, I think he would say, you guys did have the chance to do that.
Yeah.
And you didn't do it. And as a result, I asked for it for several years and didn't get it, and I had to go someplace else. So let's not do the contract thing because I don't like what it represents.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
But that's not.
Because you've had Kraft already putting videos out there being like, we'd love it.
I think that was a misstep. If you're Tom Brady and you see that, Jesse, don't you say, you know what, don't. Now if I don't do that, I look like the bad guy, Robert.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's unfair,
Nobody
especially.
puts Brady in a corner.
No.
Yeah.
We've seen that.
Nobody puts Brady in a corner. But let's just talk about the Pats going forward. Tough year, right?
No doubt.
We kind of saw a rare thing. Belichick almost sort of admitting that maybe there were some missteps hiring an offensive coordinator here. Was this one of the tougher Pat seasons that you can remember? Obviously went down in a lot of categories.
Certainly under Belichick, it's easily the most dysfunctional. Even in 2000, by the end of the year, they were building towards something. They went 5-11. Even in 2020, you would acknowledge that in the COVID year when Cam Newton was the quarterback, that we understood it was a reset post-Brady. But this was a team that had a lack of discipline that came undone at critical moments in a way that Patriots teams don't do. They've always been a smart team. They were one of the dumber teams in the league. So to me, this was a difficult product, and I think that you're exactly right. Their actions have indicated, less so than what Belichick has said, but their actions indicate, yeah, I bleeped up a little bit there.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the hiring of Bill O'Brien, to me, it's like, yeah, I made a mistake.
Made a whoopsie.
Tom, is he the right guy? Like, is he going to fix Mac? You know,
I think he's perfect.
Okay.
I think he's perfect. I think he'll be worth 2 or 3 wins just being there, because there'll be a sense of order restored. There'll be a sense of technical things that you're trying to accomplish. There'll be the ability for Mac Jones to, when he has a question about how do I do this if they present me with that, he'll have somebody who can give him the answer. And he sucked it up most of the year, Mac did, until he finally didn't suck it up anymore and he lost his mind on a regular basis.
Yep.
He has to get himself back in order as well, but I think that...
I mean, no more excuses for him now, right? Now that there's Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator.
Right, because this will be the first, Emerson, though, his first genuine training camp that he'll be able to enjoy.
Yeah.
First year was Cam Newton, compete with him, don't have all the reps, and then win the job. Last year was pivot on an offense, and guys who hadn't coached offense before are going to be a guy. This year, he's got a legitimate offensive coordinator. Yep. He's in his 3rd year. He's healthy. He should be able to hit the ground running.
And we've seen a lot of these young quarterbacks. It's really that 3rd year is the crucial year where they take that next step, including one of the guys in the league right now, Jalen Hurts, playing on Sunday in the Super Bowl.
Which we want to know.
Ooh.
Sunday, Super Bowl. What is your prediction for this game? Score, who wins? You like the Eagles.
I do like the Eagles. I do. I think they're defensively more dependable, and I think that their running game is going to establish itself. And you've got good players, obviously, up front. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, the rest of the
Yeah, they led the AFC in sacks. Like, they're good.
So I would run at them. I would, and I would involve Hurts in the running game. He's got plenty of time to heal from the injuries that he sustained. So I think it might not be one of the most scintillating Super Bowls.
Oh, no, you don't think we're going to see points? Come on, you're taking the under?
Yeah, what's your score prediction then?
It's 25-22. Oh, what a ridiculous score to come up with. That was just off the top to irritate you.
Yeah, man.
I love you.
What's the total?
It's 51 right now.
51.
Oh, I was going to say 51.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was guessing.
It's moving up a little. So.
Tom Curran, are you going to make it to the Waste Management at all while you're out here?
I am not.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Okay, super fun.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's work. It's a work week. I'm not
Yeah,
running
the
around.
man is busy. He's got a lot to do.
We're building a sports book out there. It's work for us, too. We go out there and enjoy it a little bit. And we're going to bring Jeff Allwork back after this break, and we're going to dive into some odds for some of the golfers ahead of the Waste Management. Also, maybe
John Rahm.
Maybe a few more prop bets. He's the favorite, shocker. So we're back in just a couple minutes, folks.
Welcome back to the Sweat presented by DraftKings. We are here at Super Bowl 57. We are in Phoenix, and we have our special guest here, DraftKings contributor Jeff Ulrich. He is here in person. We are having a blast. Obviously, the main attraction here this week is the Super Bowl. But for some of us, you two big golfers, the waste management also happening this week here. So, John Rahm, let's talk about him. He is, of course, the favorite in this one.
Numbers down to plus 750 now.
Plus 750. Yeah. Wow, was that plus 850? So is he really who you're like leaning towards this week? What do we think?
So, I mean, look, we're talking golf betting. You know, we got a really elite field. It's an elevated event, 132 people. So we have, it's just stacked. There's a lot of different, value, a lot of different players we can choose from at the top of the board. John Rahm is, at plus 750, he's already paid off like twice with 2 wins at this odds. So it's hard for me to come out and say, he's overpriced or you shouldn't bet him. But he would be my pick. If you're just saying, Jeff, odds, you can pick anyone. Sure, I'll take John Rahm. He's like the best player in the world right now. But at plus 750, given just the depth of the field, the odds just aren't big enough. So, like for me, I would be starting when you're looking for outright bets this week. You'd rather have 2 of those guys in the plus 20 to 30 range than just take one with Rahm. Rahm's great. Like I said, if we weren't talking about odds and stuff like that, sure, he'd be my pick, but I'd be looking further down the board.
And everyone loves to talk on, especially any tournaments here in this state, waste management, because he went to Arizona State.
Yeah.
So people, it's kind of like the home course kind of thing.
He's played well here. Like it's not like it's a bad setup, and it's definitely an event where you expect him probably to grab a win at some point. At the same time too, like he knows a lot of people here. There's always a little bit of extra added pressure when you're in hometowns. Like I actually like to avoid guys when they're playing around family.
I mean, he's done it enough by now. Well, I don't know if there's that hometown pressure, unless it's always there.
Yeah.
What about Scotty Scheffler? So plus 1,200. It's been a factor here, obviously, too, the last 3 years, including breaking through last year at the Phoenix. No reason he can't continue this week, right?
I mean, there isn't. I mean, like this was his breakthrough win. This is where it started for Scotty Scheffler. His first win, parlayed that into multiple wins, including a major, obviously. But for me, like Scheffler this year, iron play's gone down a little bit. You look at the stats, and the putter for Scotty Scheffler. It's just been it's been an issue for him. Like you wonder why hasn't Scheffler won for a while? It's because he's not sinking as many putts. And so for me, again, plus 1,200, there are players coming in with better form above the odds. Scheffler is actually, to me, like he's not playing super poorly, but you were talking about like he's third in the betting odds. It's going to be really tough for me to get there with a player who clearly struggling in one part of his game, and it's not like he's bad. Scheffler struggling is still better than like 98% of the field, but I'm not going to pay those odds for him. So
for sure,
I'm looking to a player. I'm just kind of looking to fade until he maybe pops up with the putter a little.
Yeah, trying to become the first back-to-back winner at the Waste Management since Hideki rattled off a couple wins in 2016, 2017.
Let's talk about maybe like a long shot pick here. We've seen some very elite golfers win here, though, because you kind of have to have that poise to be able to keep it together with maybe some ruckus, maybe some an intense crowd perhaps coming down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely, you do. I mean, you got beach balls coming out of the stands, trying to take your ball out of the air on 16.
It's literally like Shooter McGavin being like, damn you people, go back to your shanties.
Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, and 17 is almost like a worse hole than that. They're trying to make that into a stadium as well.
Are they really?
So
okay, cool.
They are, yeah. So, I mean, look, for long shot, you're right in bringing up the fact that, like, we see quality winners at this event. Like, it's not really an event where you see a ton of long shots. At the same time, we're gonna look down the board because we got to get some exposure to bigger odds. Corey Connors, I mean, look, I'm in Arizona. I got to bring up a Canadian just to give my country a shout out. Corey Connors is 70-1 on DraftKings. He's an elite ball striker. This is a player who's not going to be intimidated by this course. Like, he's got all the shots. What we need from Corey Connors is just to show up with the short game this week and the putter. It can happen. You know, we've seen it with elite ball strikers. They keep knocking on the door, and they break through with those clubs. I think Connors could do it. I really do. I think he's a good top 10 bet as well, but at plus 7,000 if you're looking for someone down the board, I like it a lot. I like him. Chris Kirk is another guy at plus 10,000, excuse me. He was actually at plus 18,000 to start the week, so his numbers dropped, but it's for good reason. He's coming off back-to-back top 5, so.
Yo, did we have 1 or 2 hole-in-ones here last year? I thought
I think it was just 1.
It was almost 1 every year. Because the 16th isn't a tough hole. It's just for the pros. It's not. It's,
yeah, for sure. But then,
for Emerson, it's nothing.
No, but It's crazy. We were flying over the course on our way in the other day, and we looked down, and I'm like, mother of God, like it looks almost like a freaking football stadium with how high like the stands go. There's like 5 levels each side. Like that has to be intimidating as hell. You think there's an ace this year?
I do. I mean, we get one. It feels like we get one every year. Why not? I mean, and again, like
minus
the field.
-165 odds on yes, Jeff.
Plus 200 for there being 2 or more.
Okay.
See, I would go big. I mean, look, hey, let's not forget. Let's not forget. We're getting better players in this event. Like there's, like everyone in the top 20 is elevated. So I mean, yeah, there's probably a better chance. Better players, better chance of the hole in one. Sure, why not? Nice weather too.
Yeah, pretty nice out here. We're coming from Boston. You're coming from Canada.
I mean, our standards are extremely low.
Very low.
Wait, so Carlos Ortiz did have one like last year, and then I think there was also Sam Ryder. Yeah, I remember that because Sam Ryder was in the group with, I can't remember. Yeah, Sam Ryder was the big one. I got Tom Glenn, our producer, in my ear. That was the one where like they were ripping off their shirts and they were like dancing like on the green and
something you don't normally see.
No, only on this hole in golf. And the people throwing their beer bottles down, and it's not like anyone's trying to stop. They're just like, all right, this is going to happen. And then there's
the raining of beer bottles.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
So plus 200 for 2 or more.
Yeah, I know.
Kinda tasty.
I like that. Okay,
I don't mind it.
What about a DFS play here, Jeff?
Yeah, no, DFS, so...
different approach compared to betting in this tournament?
Look, when we're talking DFS, we got to take the salaries into account, obviously. And again, like, for DFS this week, to me, it really does speak to more of a balanced approach because we have, like, in the 9K range, it's stacked. I mean, you've got Justin Thomas in there. You've got Hideki, and then you got my guy Sanjay M at 9,200. And that's probably, like, if we're talking about the elite players, my favorite DFS play. Sure, like Thomas has the major, and I don't even think Thomas is a bad play this week. And Hideki's great, but Sanjay M gained 7 strokes on approach his last time out. He's played this event 3 times previous. He's just a great all-around player. I just think he sets up well for these stadium tests. You got to have a short game. You got to light up the putter a little bit. And Sanjay is really consistent off the tee. So he's a player who just looks so overdue. Like you go back 6 months, multiple top 5 finishes. I think at 9,200, he's just a great starting point. And you can double dip in that range. You can pair him and Hideki together. Like that's a really solid starting point for DFS.
You mentioned Justin Thomas. He's got a pair of top 25 finishes so far this season, which is not good for him.
No.
We saw him walking around Super Bowl last night.
Yeah, we did. We saw him at opening night. Yeah.
Did you give him any tips?
No, we just sort of hovered near him.
Yeah, because we were hoping to like talk to him and talk to him a little bit about the Super Bowl because he's an Alabama guy, so he's got to be going for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles here.
Good point.
But no, he had a rep with him, and it was like he's basically not talking. Although there was a picture of me sitting right next to him.
Hovering by him.
Yeah, just being a creep.
All right, let's real quick touch on the Super Bowl again here with our segment aptly named Don't Sweat It.
Yeah.
All right, so the Sweat is doing the research for you for Super Bowl 57 props here. So every day we're going to go through. We're going to let you just like take this segment off and just like hang out. We're going to bring you some hard-hitting research around popular prop bets on the DK Sportsbook. So we're going to start with the Eagles, and today's topic is rushing yard props.
That's right.
So Eagles rushing totals. Miles Sanders, his rushing over is set at 60.5 here. We like that.
Yeah, Jeff, what would you think?
Last 8 games, though, he's gone under his rushing total.
Yeah, it is. But
so maybe we don't like that,
no,
or do we?
We do, Jesse. We do. Okay, we like Miles Sanders. I think there's a couple things. You look at that 5 out of 8. Sure, he's gone under, but again, load management here. It's not going to be a thing. The Eagles. They do like to mix in Boston Scott. They do like to mix in Kenneth Gainwell, but those were in blowouts. Like they're blowing out the Giants 2 weeks in a row. They're playing weaker teams. Even if this is a blowout, I just can't see the Eagles just taking Miles Sanders off. And also, if it's a blowout, Miles Sanders may already have 100 yards. So I think Sanders in for a really good game. Again, I bring it up. The Chiefs' rush defense is probably the weakest unit in this game. They haven't faced a ton of elite rushing offenses. I think it's going to be a tough test, so I'm going to go over Miles Sanders there.
All right, then on the Chiefs side, real quick, less than a minute to go in show. Rushing totals for some of them. Isaiah Pacheco, 47.5. Jerick McKinnon, let's see, 20.5. Patrick Mahomes rushing total, 18.5. Which one do you like the most there?
You like that, Jerick McKinnon?
I'm going to go under on Mahomes. That's a lot. I think that the Eagles could just have him stuck in the pocket there trying to pass late in the game. I'm going to go over on the McKinnon. I do think, like, using him in some RPOs, especially from the shotgun, like later in the game, that could be a thing. I'm going to go under on Pacheco as well. Again, I just feel like, the Eagles such a good first quarter team.
Yeah.
If they get up, I think that's really going to hurt Pacheco's volume the most.
All right, good stuff. That's a show.
Dude.
Jeff, man, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
We're so
we
happy
did it.
you're here. It was
I'm
just
happy.
incredible to have you here in person.
We're doing the waste management on Sunday, man.
Yes.
You and me.
Yes.
Oh, and you'll be back here, according to Tom Glennon, our producer, who knows a lot more about the show than we do. You'll be back on Friday.
I'm coming back Friday.
Oh, wow. We love it.
But
all right, and we will be
tomorrow-
back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Big Dude Wednesday. We got Ross Tucker. We got
Big
the Gojo
Dude
Boys.
Wednesday? Oh, my God. Yeah, those
right
are big
here
dudes.
on this stage. That's all for us. Head over to VSiN for more Radio Row action, though.